Okay, writing and graphing inequalities 7EE4. If you'll go ahead and label your paper. And remember that writing and graphing inequalities is very similar to writing equations. Okay, we've seen this chart several times. It's the inequality chart. Remember that this first one means is less than or fewer than, and so whenever you make your dot and when you're graphing, it is an open circle, and the arrow is going to go to the left. The next one is the greater than, is more than, or it exceeds. Again, that's going to be an open dot, and this time it's going to go to the right. The next one, remember that it is less than or equal to. That line on the bottom right here is equal to, and remember it doesn't have to be both. It either has to be less than or it has to be equal to that number. Also is no more than or is at most. And when we graph that one is going to be closed, and remember it is closed because it is equal to that. Okay, so it's a closed dot, and the arrow is going to point to the left. And then the last one is greater than or equal to, is no less than, or is at least. Again, it's going to be a closed dot because you have that line underneath the inequality sign, and it's going to point to the right. Okay, so let's get started on this one. We're going to circle the operation, box the variable, and underline the constant. All right, so twice, we're actually going to circle that because that is an operation and it's also a number, but we're going to circle it because twice means to multiply by 2. A number, x, so there's my variable, so I'm going to box in my variable, is at least. All right, at least, so you ask yourself, twice a number is at least 12, so 12 is the least number, is the smallest number. So I'm going to put my little sign here, and it's at least. Could it equal 12? Yes. So I'm going to put the line underneath, and then I'm going to underline the 12 for the constant. So when I go back to write this, twice a number x, so that means I'm multiplying 2 times x, because it's some number, we don't know what it is at least, so greater than or equal to 12. When I go to solve this, I'm going to circle my variable, bring down my sign, my inequality sign. That says 2 times x, so I'm going to multiply both sides, I'm going to divide both sides by 2 because it tells me to multiply, so I'm going to be naughty and do the opposite. That cancels, which leaves me with x. 12 divided by 2 is 6. When I go to graph it, I'm going to graph it on the 6, and it is going to be open or closed. It is going to be a closed dot because look, you have this line right here. So we're going to do a closed dot on 6, and you're going to follow this arrow. Okay, so it's going to be to the right. When I plug I can pick any number on this side. So I'm going to just pick 7 and plug it back in here. So that's going to say 2 times 7 should be greater than or equal to 12. 2 times 7 is 14. Is 14 greater than or equal to 12? Yes. So remember, if I was to write what the solution was, the solution is any number greater than or equal to 6. So it's any number greater than or equal to 6 would be my solution. Okay, let's get started on this one. We're going to circle the operation, box the variables, and underline the constants. So 4 more means I'm going to add 4. Okay, the 4 would be one of our constants. The more would be an operation, more meaning I'm adding. What am I adding? I'm adding the 4. So 4 more than a number. A number is going to be my variable. So I'm going to go ahead and just put an x underneath it. Is less than, all right, the less than, and we all know how to write a less than sign, -10, and so we're going to underline the -10. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to say 4 more than a number, so I could say x plus 4 On this one, I could also say 4 plus x. It doesn't matter on the addition. It only matters when you're subtracting. Less than negative 10. All right, so here is my written inequality. So now I'm going to go ahead and solve. So let me change colors again. All right, circle my variable, bring down my inequality. This tells me to add, so I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. That cancels, which leaves me with x. And I need to be careful here because I have a negative 10 minus 4. I need to do keep, change, change. All right, so now I have a negative 10 plus a negative 4, same signs, add and keep. All right, I'm add 10 plus 4, which gives me 14, and keep the sign. All right, so when I go over here to graph, it's going to be on the negative 14. All right, it's going to be an open circle because there is no line under here. If there was a line, then it would be a closed dot. Okay, an open circle. And my arrow is going to follow this arrow. And that's why my arrow goes off to the left. Now let's plug in a number and see what we come up with. All right, if I choose this 15 here to plug it back in where the x is, I would say negative 15 plus 4 is less than negative 10. All right, let's solve. Different signs subtract, so negative 15 minus 4 would give me 11. Take the sign of the larger number, which is the negative 15. All right, is negative 11 less than negative 10? Yes, because negative 11 is further left on the number line. And remember, anytime you're looking at comparing two numbers, the number on the left is always going to be smaller than the number on the right. Okay, on the last example, 4 less, which means the 4 is going to be underlined and the less should be circled because that's the operation. And 4 less, remember that less needs to go out in front here. So that means I'm going to subtract 4 from something, I'm not sure what yet. 4 less than the quotient, here's my operation again, of a number. Ask yourself, do you know what that number is? No, so this is what the variable is going to be. And here I'm just going to put an x on top. All right, 4 less than the quotient of a number and 6, so I'm going to underline, there's my constant, is no more than 8. There's another constant, that's easy. All right, no more than 8, which means 8 has to be the largest number. So that no more than is this sign, and can it be 8? Ask yourself, could it be 8? Yes, it just can't be more than 8. So I'm going to put my line underneath there. Again, this negative 4 goes up here with that. So when I go to put all this together, 4 less, so I'm subtracting 4 from something, okay? I'm subtracting it from the quotient, so I know I'm dividing something, of a number, I don't know the number, and 6. And notice I put a number because it came first, so it goes on top, 6 goes on the bottom, is no more than, we've already got my sign here, and 8. All right, so that would be how you write it. All right, and the easiest way, if you're really struggling with what inequality sign, if you can memorize the signs with the words, it's really, really simple. You don't even have to ask yourself questions. You just know what sign goes with each set of words. And that very first slide at the beginning, that's going to be a key. All right, so the first thing to do to solve is to circle variable, bring down my sign. This says to subtract 4, so I'm going to add 4 on both sides, which cancels, which leaves me with x divided by 6. 8 plus 4 gives me 12. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by 6 because over here it tells me to divide by 6. So I'm going to multiply by 6. That cancels, which leaves me with x is less than or equal to 6 times 12 is 72. All right. Let's graph it and check. So my answer is going to be 72. All right, it's going to be a closed circle because look, I have that line underneath it. So it's going to be a closed circle in 72. And because my arrow is pointing in this direction, I'm going to point my arrow in this direction. All right. All right, so now let's pick a number to plug in where the where the X is at. And I would pick any number that is less than 72. So let's pick, let's do 36. All right, so if I plug in 36 where X is, 36 divided by 6 minus 4 should be less than or equal to 8. All right, so if I did by 36 divided by 6 gives me 6, and 6 minus 4 is 2. Is 2 less than or equal to 8? Yes. So that's how you know it is correct. All right, here's one for you to try. I just gave you one. Remember, you need to circle the operation, box the variable, and underline the constant. All right, when you come to this is no more than, if you need to go back and look at that first sheet, I definitely encourage you to memorize the words and which symbols go with which words. It will help you out a lot. Good luck.